My name is Kathryn Wang. I'm the VP of our public sector at Human Security, and I'm joined today with Liz Green. Liz is joining, and I would love to hear a little bit more about your background and tell us about what you'll be discussing today at Uniting Women in Cyber.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. I'm Liz. So my background is actually very different than the traditional kind of cybersecurity lens professional background. So I'm an occupational therapist by trade, and I've been working with neurodistinct individuals for the past 21 years. So conditions like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and so on. There's many more. And what brought me into this is because I do a lot of business consulting around neurodiversity inclusive design. And so started pushing into the cybersecurity space a couple of years ago because of the significant recruitment and retention challenges. Got connected to Debbie from Cyber Guild because I've been doing a lot of education in cybersecurity, really about thinking about the fact that underserved populations need to be better leveraged, not just with recruitment and hiring, but also with retention, and thinking about we already have at least 20% of the cybersecurity workforce that is neurodistinct. And so then the idea of, wow, there's a lot of burnout in cybersecurity, there's a lot of mismatch between like hiring managers and HR, and even senior leader expectations. And then in turn, we've got a big part of the talent pool that's being missed out on. So that's kind of what led me into this. And we'll be talking about smashing stereotypes, so really thinking about the idea of building awareness in neurodiversity for this presentation, as well as then advancement and advocacy, and kind of walking the audience along that path during our presentation of, let's talk to you about what is, neurodiversity all about, and then think about how can we advance neurodiversity in cybersecurity, and then how can we advocate. And we'll actually be following some case studies through that journey. So we're excited to talk.
That's great. Could you talk a little bit more about how neurodiversity can be a competitive advantage in the cyber landscape?
Yeah, so a lot of the work in the neurodiversity space, specifically in workforce, is in the tech industry. So many people have heard of some of the work done by like SAP. They started an Autism at Work hiring program in 2013. And what they were seeing based on that is, wow, we've got this unique talent that has incredible skills, so we want to leverage it. They started a playbook. Microsoft took to it, EY, Dell, Wells Fargo. There's a huge group now, really because they were seeing, this talent having pretty incredible skills in certain areas that neurotypical don't, such as like pattern recognition, spatial awareness, problem solving, analytical skills. And so then you look at what are the skills sought after in cybersecurity, and there's a match. And in fact, in other countries like Australia and Israel, there's active recruitment of autistic talent into their cybersecurity defense. So we're seeing it in other places, not as much here. We should be. And so that's what I spend a lot of time educating around is, there needs to be more done, especially if you want to protect against vulnerabilities. And that's exactly what the role is. You need people that think outside the box. And a lot of times the challenge is that we tend to hire people who think more like us. And even thinking about interviewing, traditional interviewing, if somebody is being hired into a role that doesn't require a lot of back and forth interaction, well then you could be boxing people out just because they don't act like an extrovert in the interview. But like, is the skill that you need from them really extroversion? So that's kind of what we get at a lot in this conversation, is like really breaking that down.
That's great. One other thing that you mentioned at the very beginning that I wanted to extrapolate, it directly relates to what you had just said, advocacy. What is one thing that employers should start to think about or prioritize when trying to advocate for the neurodiverse employee that they're trying to recruit?
Yeah, so I would say, I think a lot in terms of retention. If we're talking about recruitment, I think it starts by having a conversation, with recruiters, hiring managers, and even bringing current self-disclosed neurodivergent individuals into the conversation that are within the company already, and saying like, look, we want to start recruiting people that think differently. Neurodivergent employee, like, what was your process like? What would you like to change? Because there's a ton of best practices, but within the movement, the mantra, nothing about us without us, really should hold true of like, let's bring people in that have had challenges and think that there could be an improvement. and then where can we go? And with retention and with all of this, this is really about starting conversations. You know, it could be, say I work for you and you ask me, hey, how do you like communication? Like I realize I present, you know, tasks to you in the way that works for me, but like, how do you like feedback? Even that, this is good for all of us, right? That's sort of where we get at with this, is it's helpful for some, really helpful for some, but also just very helpful for everybody.
That's great. Well, we are very happy and very thankful for you to be joining us today, and we're looking forward to your session later.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.